So, welcome back to another Half and Half Scarf football podcast with me, Nick, and my mate Dom. Dom's just returned from holiday, so we've got a lot of catching up to do. There are things that we want to talk about that are, they've been in the news a little while, but it'd be remiss of us not to talk about. But it's kind of like a mop-up catch-up episode before the season really kicks off, and domestic football being back as it indeed is, with Middlesbrough tonight playing at home in the Carabao Cup against Wrexham. 17,000 going, which isn't too bad for essentially a posh pre-season friendly. And our first home game is next Saturday, a 3 o'clock kickoff against Lincoln City, and that's a sellout already, which is good to see with the sun shining, hopefully, and the early season optimism. But we've got loads of pre-season, early season transfer stuff, managerial conversations to have. So without further ado, let's welcome back from his jolly holidays my mate Dom. Dom, you look like you had a bit of studio problems because I know you're charging your phone up. You look like you're perched on some kind of the edge of a precipice. But
Yeah.
hopefully nothing will fall over during the recording of the episode, mate.
Oh, yeah. I did my usual classic of what I always do, and I've been busy all day and completely forgot to recharge my phone. And my setup here is configured in such a way that my cable never reaches into my USB. So I've done some jiggery pokery to try and make it work. So
Yeah,
I've
bit
loaded my
pointless.
work chair, I've loaded everything, and so I look like
Yeah,
it's slightly
perched.
strange, but yeah, it's hopefully it'll work. And the main thing is my phone is charging, so it won't die mid-episode.
Excellent. Okay,
Thankfully,
well, you can tell you've been on the go all day. You've only just come back from holiday on
I,
Wednesday. And
I know. Yeah,
we're recording this on Friday, the whatever day it is, Friday the 7th, and you've only been back 2 days. You haven't been asked to put a football shirt on, which is even more fun. But I'm going to share with those who are watching, I'm going to share with you Middlesbrough's 150th anniversary new home shirt, which is shit. Um, it's the wrong red. It's got a round neck, which I hate. The gold badge is lovely. Castore is not bad, but it's got a white midnight sponsor. The arms are too tight. It's just not the best it could have been. Having worn the away shirt on a previous episode, the marshmallow away shirt, which I love with a V-neck, this is all wrong. Anyway, that's all I want to say about it. I'm wearing that. First time I've worn it. I'll wear it tonight for the Wrexham game, and we'll go from there. It might be a lucky shirt. We're doing well in the transfer window, so let's take it from there.
yeah.
But yeah,
I've
not
never
good.
liked a milky red, mate. I've never liked a milky red. I would have put a shirt on, but I literally had a mad busy day and didn't think about it. But I've never liked a milky red, and it's a milky red. I mean,
Milky
who
Red's
likes a
just
milky red? And it's
it,
not Middlesbrough red, is it? Since when have they
no.
been associated with milky red?
I've never heard the phrase milky red. It's for me it looks more orange. It's pretty Liverpoolish red really. I don't like it anyway.
Mm.
Moving on, but just very briefly on kits. You told us on a previous episode to look out for the Burnley home kit. Jesus Christ,
It's
what a
news fest, isn't it? It's literally like devoid of all imagination
yeah
whatsoever.
whatever. But the best kit I've seen, the new kits of the season. Have you seen Port Vale's home kit?
Yes, it's
I mean,
pretty. Yeah,
it's got a massive Robbie
yeah,
Williams logo, which spoils it. But it's black and white with like a zigzag down the middle. It's
yeah.
really unusual, and I like it. Anyway,
I
so
like
well.
it. Oh, and on that one, very quickly, mate. I don't know if people will agree, but Fulham's away kit is a thing of beauty as well.
Oh, okay, I'll look that up
Check
as
it
well.
out.
So yeah, it's that
Beautiful
time
kit.
of year, isn't it, where you start watching the highlights on
Yeah,
ITV4 and Match of the Day, and you go, "Wow, that's lovely." That
yeah.
I'm always a big fan of Brentford's away kits, but Brentford have kept the same kit for 2 seasons, which is good to see, isn't it? Really
Yeah,
good to
they're
see.
booking the trend. Everyone should be doing that. All clubs should be, keeping their home kit for 2 years. That's how it used to be going back 30 years until they all
Yeah,
started doing it every year and stuff. But yeah, they've been doing that a while and they need to be applauded for it. So
they
yeah,
do.
long may it continue.
Okay. Well, let's start with some sad but predictable news that's evolved while you've been away. We're not going to give it much airtime because it's been everywhere and there's been a lot of discussion on it, but we have to, given our penchant for hating everything to do with FIFA and Infantino, we have to very briefly address his outrageous and criminal and contemptible plan to sell off the World Cup to private investors, and then his methodology of trying to buy his way in to staying in power is just the guy's criminally negligent, isn't he? I mean,
Oh,
that literally that's what
yeah.
I can say.
Yeah, I mean the whole fiasco has really highlighted just how, and not that everyone didn't realize anyway, but just how broken FIFA is. It
Mm,
is an absolutely corrupt organization, and I've said before many times, and I make a point of saying there's lots of very good people who work there, but none of them are privy to or have any say in what goes on. So all the good things that they probably do that we don't even see or realize gets completely undone by this appalling parasite's ego and
yeah,
his need for fame, power, greed, and money. I
yeah,
mean, the whole thing, I watched it with glee because I was away on holiday, so I had the time to follow it. It was like the Super League fiasco all over again. I
yeah.
mean, the fact that they planned to announce it at the World Cup final, the fact that it's with Donald Trump's
Son-in-law's next door
son-in-law's
neighbour.
brother.
Yeah,
Why have they picked them? Oh, we don't know, do we?
no,
No due diligence, nothing that's been put on the table in terms of out to tender, no communication with any of the confederations or the members of each of those confederations,
or his senior
or his own
board either.
senior officials, none of the FIFA council. It's basically off his own doing, and yet even though there's some people come out and said quite a lot of stuff, it's so we'll go to Morocco. Who knows who was there of all the senior people and the
Yeah,
top FIFA people? Well,
a
I'm
lot
sorry, but
weren't apparently.
you can't be that top of a person if you approve and suddenly go along with that. It doesn't seem to me that anyone's really approving anything. Someone's probably got something over any of them because that Grafstrom was all over him saying how appalled he was, and then all of a sudden he's there with his thumb in the air, having signed an approval of Infantino, and they had the gall to then say FIFA will not tolerate any interference about its dealings. Like, well, fuck right off. We have
Yeah,
every
there's
right
just
to. And then when it came out, accusing the media of false interpretation. I mean,
wow.
the whole thing. And what's worrying is that no one has any power to just literally say, "On your bike, son,
Off you go.
off you go."
And a lot of them are frightened standing against him for fear of losing. But someone has to stand against him in November. They have to. They
The
absolutely
whole
have to.
the whole thing's broken. I mean, the whole there's when he came to power, it was really good. I think it was Martin Ziegler at the time released it, and he was just going through all the things that he'd slowly stripped since he's come into power
Yeah,
to take away all kind of inside diligence and
yeah.
compliance
And challenge.
and challenge and review. He's taken all of that away, so he's basically put himself in an invincible situation. But he's not that invincible, and I love the fact that UEFA have still said, "Well, we're still boycotting it,"
Yeah,
and it will. Hopefully, it will eventually grab enough momentum that it pushes it to a point where it's just his position's intolerable. And I find it hilarious that the likes of Argentina's um, association and all the Africans have come out and said, "Oh yeah, well, of course you do," because
yeah. That's
you
my
basically
worry. My worry is the brown envelopes to the countries that he's promising a 64 uh, uh, nation World Cup to, and they'll all vote because they want to get a 64 nation
of
World
course they
Cup,
do.
and he'll have enough. He has to garner 105 votes, doesn't he? That's a lot of votes, but it wouldn't surprise me with stuff going on behind the scenes. There's 20 million pounds here and there everywhere going around in envelopes and stuff. So
It's
it's
just
not it's not
horrible.
done. It's
Yeah,
not done this by a long chalk. And if he survives, where's I mean, literally, if he survives, the World Cup's gone in it because UEFA won't tolerate it, will they?
well, as we said with our wonderful guest Harry Harris, has the game gone? And he said years ago, and it
Years
has,
ago,
and
yeah,
it's and they're in. I mean, they've got no there's no he is not producing any good for football, and then he
no,
still came out and had the goal to say that it was a good idea and that all he was doing was doing right by football. And even just saying stupid statements like FIFA's not selling football, well, that's exactly what you're
what
doing.
you
it's
doing? Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like it's like Donald Trump or Putin or all of those. It's like, so even though everyone knows what we're doing, we'll just say we're doing the opposite. And
yeah.
even though everyone knows that we're lying, we'll just say that because we can.
And
It's
if we say it enough times, it makes it real in their head, doesn't it?
yeah, and it's just really embarrassing. I mean, you're supposed to have an organisation that's for the good of football, and yet FIFA sat on about 4 billion in
I
revenue
know.
and
Yeah.
and assets and reserves, and yet it tried to sell 20% and say we'll give you an extra 40 million over 4 years. Well, hang on, you sat on 4 billion, and you're supposed to be a
Yeah.
non-profit organisation, so all that 4 billion, you shouldn't have anything in reserve. All of
No.
that money should have
Should
been
go.
distributed
Yeah.
across the world to do the good of what you want to do.
Anyway, we're not going to give him any
No,
more airtime. What I would say is, if you hadn't been away, we'd have probably been
we'd
doing a
have done
daily
we'd have
update.
done an episode on it. Absolutely, we would. I
Yeah.
was chomping at the bit, but it's probably good that we didn't because we've been
Yeah.
able to kind of calm down. I mean, the whole thing is farcical. He's been made to look like a prize idiot. All the other people have been made to look like idiots. Arsene Wenger had to come out and make a statement.
Oh, he took
It's
his
the whole
time. He took his time.
took his
Hang on.
time, but it's
Arsene
appalling.
Wenger didn't see it probably. He probably went, no, I didn't see that. I posted about Arsene Wenger. His silence is deafening. And then 2 days
Oh,
later, he came out with. I mean, the other thing with this apology from Infantino, it's one of them non-apologies, isn't it? I'm sorry I got caught. I'm sorry, not sorry. I'm sick of seeing him in football. Tander Eckhart done them. He's done them. Somebody else did one recently, and it's like,
sorry, but isn't it?
oh,
It's a sorry, but
Fernandez.
yeah,
Fernandez did it. It's like, for Christ's sake, I'm
sorry,
sorry, not
but
sorry. Move on. Yeah, yeah, move on. Anyway, genuinely sad news. Franco Baresi, 66, bless him.
I know.
What, what, what a footballer. Now, if you're a younger listener or viewer and you've not seen or heard of Franco Baresi, just look up a genuine one club man, a genuine footballing legend, as hard as they come, as good as they come. His timing in a tackle was sensational, and he was a master of the dark arts of football.
Oh, he
And
was.
Franco Baresi was everything that Italian football was
Yeah,
in the 80s and 90s, wasn't he? What an absolute footballer.
he's probably the ultimate defender and probably one of the only people who's ever had Maradona on toast. And Maradona respected him greatly for it and even
Yeah,
asked for his shirt after their first encounter together. So
yeah.
that speaks volumes. But yeah, that's a sad loss. We've had quite a few people from the football world
Mm,
passing away recently, which is very sad news. But he was one of the greats, and he played with unbelievably great players who all
yeah,
carried his coffin, which was a beautiful touch to see how
it
much they
was.
respected him. So,
What I
yeah,
would say about Baresi, he wasn't very tall and he wasn't that
no,
quick, but he
no,
was.
but he could tackle, and
Oh
again,
God,
it comes down to timing, reading of the game, and knowing to be in the right place at the right time, which he
yeah.
was, and he was part of that phenomenal Milan team that was
Oh
just the very best in the world at that time.
well, that was when Italian football was miles better
That
than the
was
Premier
miles
League.
everywhere. Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
wanted to go and play in Italy, and that team they had was just
Oh,
astonishing. Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
So if you're not sure, have a look at Milan in 87, 88,
Late 80s
91,
into early
92.
90s in
Oh,
their pomp,
brilliant.
and
Yeah,
you won't be sorry. I'm sure there's loads of YouTube clips doing the rounds of Milan games and
Baresi. Yeah,
Baresi in particular.
good
So
stuff.
yeah, fill
Okay.
your boots.
Something else that had a lot of coverage over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, we've not had a chance to discuss it. Jermaine Defoe at Woking. So Jermaine Defoe had 4 months at Woking. Most of that was the summer. So he played 6 games at the end of last season, won two of them. Um, and all I just want to pick up on this is he left by mutual consent, which is bullshit. Nobody mutually consent leaves. So, do you know anyone who's ever left a job by mutual consent? One party or the other wants rid of someone, don't they? Either someone wants to leave or someone wants to get rid of someone. So he left by mutual consent pre-season. The bit that's disappointing me about Jermaine Defoe here is he's had a pop on social media, everyone in the club, the chairman, and everything. And I don't know the full details, but it strikes me that if you coach or you manage at a level that Woking are at, you're not always going to get the pampered life and everything that you get your own way. You're not going to get what you want in the transfer market. You're not going to get unlimited funds. You're not going to get full support that you might have done as a footballer. And I just think Jermaine Defoe is one of these ex-players, going on about I need a equality and a break. I need to take up a job. I want to be, considered for management. And he's had a good job at Woking. They're a good club. They're a good solid club at that level. And I applaud him for taking the job. But if you then leave and have a pop at everyone and have a little moan and have a little dig, has that not put other chairmen off at that level or that level above to think, well, you know what? Sorry, Jermaine, but you've come across, you've not come across well with this. I don't know the full story, but when I've seen everything and I've listened to everything and I've watched some of the content about it, it definitely comes across as whatever's gone on. Keep your counsel, Jermaine. Do not wear air your dirty washing in public. Don't
I
just
would
don't do it.
I would agree with that because I was reading, I was really intrigued by this piece, and it was interesting because I'm not sure if it was the owner or the chairman. She came out and called him out on it, and basically she was just saying how they'd had
Don't
a.
touch your phone.
I know it started to slip, and she basically said that they'd had really constructive meetings. Everything he'd wanted, they'd tried to support. Um, Difficulties they were having, they'd said, "Oh well, you know, please produce me a report of all the things that you've got concerns about, or things that we need to improve on, or things that we could look to do to help you on the footballing side, and all the things that you're looking at, and we'll get together and discuss it." And he didn't produce that report. It
Yeah,
also referenced Paul Bracewell, who, an amazing ex-pro, and he's been around the block in terms of being assistant manager. And he was his assistant manager, and he didn't do it either. And they all left the club at the same time, and they were asked to attend a meeting, and none of them attended the meeting. And it's
yeah,
like, I think she's basically saying you can't just come out and say I've left because my situation had become untenable, and the working conditions were too difficult. It's like that's too easy to say.
yeah.
So I think if that was a genuine thing, you wouldn't have any owners or chairman coming back at you with a comeback
No,
because they'd probably say, okay, there was issues, it is our doing.
yeah,
But when you've got chairman or owners coming back and saying, well, actually, there's two sides to every story, I think what she was basically saying is, it feels to me a little bit like he just gave up and couldn't be
yeah,
bothered. And
mm,
she politely said that there'd been concerns raised by quite a few areas of the club, including some of the playing staff and other things. And she didn't go into airing what those were, but I think she kind of came across and trying to say it's unprofessional to leave, and then
yeah.
kind of say it's kind of like down to trying to imply that it's down to none
Other
of your own
people.
doing, and then
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
actually coming around and saying, well, actually, no, it's not. So I agree with you. It's like if there is issues and you want to continue working again, keep your counsel. But
yeah.
then, he's probably done everyone a favour by the fact that he's done this because people will think twice about employing him. So it
Yeah,
is
exactly.
it
Yeah.
is like that. Yeah,
Kind of it both ways, bleating about equality and openness and transparency and give me an opportunity. And then when you get an opportunity at a club like Woking who will support you, just
absolutely.
literally shatting on them really by the sounds of it. Another situation that's arisen in the last couple of weeks, Eddie Howe leaving Newcastle. Now, I don't think this was a surprise. It wasn't a surprise to me. I was a little bit surprised Eddie Howe didn't leave at the end of last season, mutual consent or otherwise. I think Eddie Howe had taken him as far as he could. And I
Yeah,
think when he looked at the PSR version of whatever it's called these days and selling Tonali and selling Guimaraes and, selling Anthony Gordon, he's probably thought, well, I'm fighting with one hand behind my back. Everyone's calling it now Newcastle 2.0. Where's that shit come from?
it's just marketing
Newcastle
PR, mate. Of course it
2.0.
is.
It's
Yeah,
seriously bollocks, right?
yeah.
So this new guy's coming in. They've gone down the route of buying young sort of players that they can invest in and turn some money around. If you're a Newcastle fan, and we've got quite a few Newcastle fans I know listen to the pod, what's happened to we're the richest club in the world, we can buy anyone we want because the rules don't allow you to do that. And we've talked many times about the top six, Villa, Newcastle, Everton, teams like that, just not allowed to compete with the traditional top six. And Eddie Howe, I wish him well, but a lot of Newcastle fans were saying, you know what, it was a bit shit last season, terrible, football wasn't great, and he's gone. I just thought, you know what, timing's shocking, really. Could have done this early in the summer, could have, and got bedded in and sorted, and maybe
Yeah.
Guimaraes would have stayed. I don't know if he met the
He
new
wouldn't.
guy. I don't
I mean,
know.
it makes me laugh that I've been seeing so many things around saying, oh, Arsenal, you're getting someone who won't care about playing for your club as much as you loved playing for us. It's like, oh, give me a
He did
break. If he loved playing for you, he wouldn't be desperate to leave and go and play for Arsenal. There's
exactly.
loyalty right there for you. So
Yeah, yeah.
there is absolutely none. None of these players have shown any loyalty to Newcastle whatsoever. As soon
No.
as they've got a better move somewhere else, they've literally been out the door. So
Tonali's a disgrace. I mean, they
Well,
stood by
yeah,
him for a
100 million
year.
quid. He's not worth. He's not even worth 10 million quid, let
No,
alone 100 million quid. And
I,
it's absolute. I mean, we've already discussed the ridiculous transfer fee. Morgan Rogers, 170 million. Don't make me laugh.
yeah,
Elliot Anderson, 116 million. They're good
no,
players. They're not worth that. Nobody is. And apparently, that you were talking about the timing. Apparently, they discussed it before the end of the season when he was feeling like he might go, and then he decided that he'd stay. He was persuaded to stay. Then he went on his family holiday, thought about it again, and came back and was like, "No, I really think it's time for me to go." So that's why the Newcastle board apparently didn't want him to go, but they've reluctantly agreed to it, which is
yeah,
why it's now. But again, Matthias Jassel, is he gonna turn heads and
no.
recreate something? No, no, he's not.
I
If
didn't
he
know
if
I didn't know they were still in fashion. Those vajazzles. Is he? That's
and
his name. Vajazzle, is it? Right.
he's not going to do anything. Nobody who plies their trade in Saudi Arabia as a first go to is not going to do anything at Newcastle United.
What they should have done, they should have got someone from the MLS because we know how that works out, don't we? With the guy at West Brom and
Yeah,
various other people. But
yeah,
let's move on from that. But yeah, I wasn't surprised. I was just surprised at the timing. Really, I think it's probably the right decision for Eddie Howe. Oh, has he taken his right hand man with him as well? I'm assuming.
oh God, yeah. Jason Tyndall will be put back in his puppet box until they arrive somewhere else.
They'll,
God,
they'll turn up as bloody Morecambe and Wise again. Well, anyway, moving on from Tyndall, I don't want to give him any airtime.
he
Um,
has done a fantastic job there. We have to say, Eddie Howe. He really surprised me just how what a brilliant job he did at
yeah,
Newcastle.
yeah, yeah,
What a fantastic 5 years, and he deserves all the credit he gets for it because he really did transform them and turn them around. And he wasn't buying players that were world class players when he
yeah.
bought them. So, and it must be, people can, and I'd say to Newcastle fans, be careful what you wish for. And you might not have enjoyed last season, but the guy's had one hand tied behind his back for most
Mm,
of that time he's been there. He's not been given free reign to go out and buy anyone he likes. He's lost a lot of players. Some
mm.
of their transfer dealings have caused quite a lot of hassle. And this summer, if he was ever going to be demotivated, I mean, he's losing everyone. So,
Yeah.
you know,
You're not building a team around Voldemort, right? But never mind. I would say if you're a Newcastle fan, are you concerned about potential relegation battle? Because at the moment, you've not got much coming in, and you've got an untried manager from Saudi, and you've
yeah,
got disruption, and that adds up to West Ham kind of stuff, doesn't it?
it does. So it's either, I think they could struggle this season. I don't rate this manager that much. I don't think he's going to come into the Premier League and pull up trees and do something
Yeah,
startlingly amazing. Do you know what? I'm not saying I'd love to be proved wrong. I would. I'd always like to see someone surprise us, and I wish Newcastle well. I don't wish ill of them, but I think fans might be a bit nervous because they're losing the players that they're losing. There's no one amazing coming in the door. New manager, untested. Newcastle fans are fabulous if they're on your side. If they're not, they'll be
yeah,
merciless.
they will.
So
They
it
will.
could be a difficult season.
They
Yeah,
need a good start, don't they? They need a good start.
absolutely. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think most teams would say they do, but certain teams need a better start than Ton Eckert needs a good start at Southampton, for example, doesn't he? And
yeah.
Eddie Howe needs not Eddie Howe, the new guy,
Matthias Jassel needs one at Newcastle.
Bajaz,
Absolutely. Yeah,
Bajazzle,
big Jassel.
Bajazzle needs one. I've got someone who's not going to have a good start. York City parted company with their manager 2 weeks before the season started. Now he's been there a year and he took him back into the Football League for the first time in 10 years. Something's gone on behind the scenes, and they say a disagreement on the direction of the club. That is the biggest cop out statement, isn't it? It's like mutual consent, disagreement on the direction of the club. I'm not being funny, chairman. I'm not being funny, board of directors. The bloody manager decides the direction of the club when it comes to what he wants to do with the playing staff and the team and whatever, doesn't he? Surely, and he's got him promoted back to the League Two after 10 years. And 2 weeks before the season, they've sacked him. If you're a York City fan, how do you feel about that? Because I live in York. It was all over our local press. York fans seem to be, this guy was great. This guy's they were
Yeah.
actually confident of potentially blasting through League Two straight to League One, as a result of having, and then it's all taken away with a change of manager. I don't get how a club can decide to change a direction 2 weeks before the start of the season. It's beggars belief, doesn't it?
It's bonkers, mate. I mean, it feels seriously disruptive, something like that. I always look at that and think, God, how demoralising for the players, all the morale around the club that's been built over, the last couple of seasons, building to what they achieved, the fans, everything.
Yeah,
In that situation, all you basically wish for is that someone comes in where you can just either get lucky or, the change of direction you've planned is well planned and you know who you're bringing in and it's supposed to elevate it. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't like those statements where it's like, disagreeing on where the football club is heading. That clearly means that the chairman or the owners have suddenly said, we're doing this. And the manager goes, well, how are you doing it? And I
yeah.
don't really agree with that. And it's so in other words, you're not going to give me the players I need to survive in this league. You want to kind of jump ahead and do something else.
Mm.
It is always a concern to me. And it's a tremendous shame when someone works so hard for a football club and then it's literally over. It's almost like sometimes, and it might not be this, but it sometimes feels like a club gets ahead of itself when it suddenly
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
a
Oh,
little
look
bit of
at us. Look
success.
at us, we're back. Look at us, we're York City.
Yeah, we're
Look at us
now
in
going to do
League
this,
Two.
this, 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 and this. It's like, oh, do you know what? Just keep it
Settle down.
simple. Keep the
Settle down.
consistency. Keep what's been good, because it might not go the way you want the season after, and you might be right back down there again, and
Yeah.
you're better equipped to stay where you are. So I don't understand it sometimes. Or
Nah.
and if it hadn't happened now, sometimes these are the kind of people. If it doesn't start going well in the league they've got moved up to, they'll suddenly sack him. Then it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Give
Give
it
the guy
time.
a chance.
Because, nice segue, mate. He won't be alone. He's the first, but he won't be the last. Right. More than half of the EFL managers currently in position in the 72 EFL clubs have been in place for less than a year.
Yeah,
More than half. More than 75% have been there less than 2 years. Obviously, Watford account for most of those, don't they, to be fair? We've got to sort of allow for the Watford trigger happiness. But
yeah,
75% of managers have been in place less than 2 years. He's an idea. How about building something? How about backing your manager? How
yeah.
about trusting your due diligence, trusting the manager, and giving him a bit more time? Because you know what? When that happens, it's funny how you see results, don't you? It's
Well,
ridiculous. I don't know
yeah.
why they shit the pants, don't they, about October time, and we've got a 3 week international break around October. I guarantee in that 3 weeks, 10 managers will lose the job
Oh, they
because
will. Yeah.
they'll be like, "Oh, we've got 3 weeks to get a new manager in." Well, hang on, you're 6 weeks into the season.
Oh no.
Stop it.
Yeah, we've said it before on multiple pods that managers should be given time. I get sick of hearing all this. We've really done our diligence this time, and we really know the direction we want the football club to go in, and this is a new era and a new dawn. Wolves came out with all that bullshit when they took Edwards away from Middlesbrough last season. This is a
Yeah,
new, this is a new page for the club. We're building something for the future. Literally 9 months later, the guy's gone. It's the same old shit all the time. It's like reinventing the wheel. You can't tell me that this manager at Wolves, if things don't start going well, he'll be gone before Christmas, and there'll be a
yeah,
new page turned again. It's always the way. If you've recruited the manager you want and the backroom staff you want, and you're building the team you want,
mm.
some chairman and owners suddenly go, "Oh, it's not working." I was like, "Well, sometimes it does need time to work, and
Let me
sometimes
give
it
you.
might." But you might just need another player here and there 6 months later, or you might just need to tweak something. But if you believe in these people, and these managers and coaches have got a good pedigree and have worked hard to get where they are, give them the time.
Yeah,
Sometimes if they actually knew they had time, they'd probably work better as well, because they're not always thinking, well, and I'm sure they don't. I'm sure them in some might. I don't know, but in the Premier League and the Championship, you probably get paid so well that they're probably thinking, all I'm going to do is focus on my job. I can't think of anything else. If I
yeah,
get booted out, I'm financially okay to be able to like go again. But that's not really the point. They should have a clear head and confidence to think, I'm being supported and backed here. I'm going to be given some time. Otherwise, what's the point? you can't tell me that they don't think that, I might have 10 games here.
Yeah.
That's not healthy, is it? It's never healthy. And how many names just get regurgitated around all the time? It's like, yeah, brilliant.
Couple of things you've picked up on there. Segue man as ever, right? Which is good. I think if you look at giving someone time and the requirements to bed in, I'm going to talk about Middlesbrough, right? At the
Yeah,
moment, we have had, and I can only describe it as a sensational transfer window. We have had a window where we've filled every problem position. We've bought uh, um, first 11 ready players, not squad players, not
yeah,
squad fillers, not young projects. We've got, some fantastic signings, Lancashire at one end, Videk at the other in goal, and everything in between in terms of Phillips, Berhalter. Um, I'm trying to think who else. We got a guy on the left wing. Again,
his
so
name's
many.
escape, but I know what
Yeah,
you mean.
but so many problem positions filled with good quality players. Right now, everyone's saying, right, over to you then, Kim Hellberg. All right. So I think over a season, that squad, I'd go pound for pound against anyone in the division over a season. But if we don't start well, it's because he's just getting them to bed together. It's just getting them to learn that the
Yeah,
Kim Hellberg way. And you would hope that come October, if we haven't started brilliantly, and maybe we're mid-table and won one, lost one, won one, drawn
yeah.
one, we're a bit stop-start. Fans accept the fact that we are, we're building something, and Kim Hellberg's still the right guy. And I think at Middlesbrough he's fine because it will be okay. But other clubs would look at it and go, "I've spent all this money and you've not got it right." You've got to give time to bed players in,
Oh,
have you?
yeah. I think at Middlesbrough, the only times where it's happened where a manager's gone within a year, I think my impression, and I don't know this, I don't know anything, so I'm only going off my impression, but also knowing what Steve Gibson's like as a chairman and the amount of time he does give managers.
Mm.
When Gary Monk went, there was something off going there in terms of he was trying to go and, tout himself back to Swansea City and things, and he was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like, and there was also some murky business about picking players where he was going to get some cut of the transfer fee from the agent or something. And I think that's why he was like, no, we're not having any of that. You're
yeah,
gone.
yeah,
Chris Wilder lasted less than a year. He didn't start the season well, but you could kind of see where the players were heading. But weirdly, I'm not sure that he went for footballing reasons because he
mm.
wasn't doing terribly when we started. He wasn't doing great, but it
Yeah.
wasn't the kind of sacking that Middlesbrough would normally do and Gibson would normally go for. So
But if you remember, he was touted into Burnley, wasn't he?
and
When
he
Burnley,
yeah, and he
and he,
didn't
and he,
come
and he
out and
never
say
denied it, did he? Never
he
denied
didn't.
it.
And I sometimes suspect whether he's a little bit difficult in the background, and I'm not sure if they just
Whoa,
Chris
what?
Wilder,
Chris
and I
Wilder? Yeah.
yeah, and I think there was probably issues. I think there might have been issues going on there, which is why he went. And they also probably saw the opportunity of thinking, actually, we'd really like to bring in Michael Carrick. So the timing
Yeah.
of the two is quite well. But apart from examples like that, managers at Boro generally get at least 3 years, which is an incredibly long time in football. And
Yeah.
I think they really like Helber. They've been looking at him for a while. He
Yeah.
fits the club well. He speaks well of the club. The fans
I
like
love
him.
him. I love him.
Yeah, and I think that means my feeling is that I think that will give him a lot of time, and I think he'll be
Yeah.
given, unless the wheels fall off, I think he'll be given a lot of time. My only concern for Helberg is I like his football. I love the way he plays. I like the way he comes across. But the last half of last season, we couldn't
Yeah.
hit a barn door. We were playing some beautiful football, but we just couldn't hit the back of the net. If that changes, and it needs to change this
Yeah.
season
Yeah.
very quick, if we still play beautiful football and
Yeah.
can't score a goal, we're in trouble.
If we can't beat a low block, then
Yeah.
then nothing's changed. But we've bought the players who can. Seriously, man,
Oh, I agree with
I'm
you.
so
No, I
excited.
agree with you. I agree with you.
I'm also tempering that excitement with the only thing I don't make predictions. My only prediction is Middles will be good to watch this season. That's
I
all
think
I'm
there will
saying.
be. I
Yeah.
agree with you completely. And
Yeah.
I think if it clicks, we've bought some. Lancashire's a superb signing. We've bought some really good players who've been
Vi-
doing really well on loan at other clubs. Well,
Videk in
Videk as well.
goal.
Yeah, we've bought some really good players. Um, I am just a little. We still need to score goals, though.
Yeah, we
We
do.
we
We do.
we could still be on the Wembley pitch now,
Oh yeah,
playing in an empty stadium, and we still wouldn't score a goal.
I know.
That's how
Yeah.
bad we were at Wembley against Hull.
Well,
And
that's how bad we were from February, to be fair.
from February to, and that is a worry because we were playing some great football, but we just couldn't score. And we were trying to, God, we tried everything, but we just sometimes didn't go.
We had no strength in depth. We had no strength in depth.
No strength in depth. So I'm really hoping that, and that's got to be a concern of health, unless he's blind and completely ignorant, which I don't think he is.
No.
He'll have seen that all day long. The coaching staff will have seen it. Everyone behind the scene will have seen it. So I'm excited for us. I think we've done well in terms of the players we've brought in, particularly as we've also lost, Hayden Hackney and Dale Fry. I think the fans need to see some good players coming in. So
I think the players you brought in are up and ready, though, aren't they? I think they
They're
are.
ready.
They are. I
Ready.
do think we're going to be annoyingly singing USA, USA, USA all season because we've got Aidan Morris, Sebastian Berhalter, and Max Arfson's the other guy. I couldn't remember his name. So we've got three Yanks, all from Columbus, by the way. All playing.
They're all good friends, which I think is a strength because they know each other really well. They like each other really well. They know each other's style of play really well. So I'm hoping that amounts to being able to link up really well. And I like each of them's strengths and how they play. And they are good players. They have been doing well. I just hope that, like Morris, they come into the Championship and hit the ground. Because Aidan Morris came straight in from America and he hit the ground and he was superb from day, and he has been. And I'm hoping these two are the same, that they don't need any adjustment and they settle. If they do that, I think they'll be great because it gives us speed down the flanks, it gives us strength, very direct, and we need that. But we need to be getting in behind teams and giving the ball to the strikers quickly because all too often we were so slow that by the time we got to the 6-yard box, there was 10 behind the ball.
Yeah.
And we can't do that anymore because we'll finish nowhere if we do that.
We can't. Right, moving on, because something else you mentioned there about managers when they get sacked, Premier League, Championship, they get sacked. It doesn't really matter because they get loads of money. Stat time. I love a stat. I like a stat.
You do.
How much do you think Jose Mourinho has earned in severance pay in his football career from Chelsea, Real Madrid, Chelsea again, Man United, Spurs, Roma, and Fenerbahce? How much do you think he's earned just in severance payments in his football career?
It's got to be at least 50 million quid, probably more.
Yeah, 125 million pounds he's earned, right? Chelsea, 21 million pound first time. Real Madrid, 19. Chelsea, 14 again. Man United, 17. Spurs, 35 million. Roma, 4 million. Fenerbahce, 15 million. Best job in the world. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know what his terms were if he was getting that kind of severance. Who on earth was writing up those contracts if that's his severance? I'd love to know if that. And I'm not disputing what you're saying. I'd love to know if that's factual because that seems absolutely staggering if it is.
Are you suggesting my research is flawed, young man?
But if that is true, that's just his payoffs. So think about all his bonuses for things he's won. His weekly pay. Good God, the money that man must. No wonder he's sat there smiling all the time. I can't believe himself.
I could go to Fenerbahce and be shit. I'll do that for 4 million quid severance. Anyway, moving on. Yeah. That was just a good stat transfer.
Yeah.
So let's talk about transfers. This has made me laugh this week. Really made me laugh. Arsenal are going to sign Vinny Jr. Arsenal are going to sign Vinny Jr. Arsenal are going to sign Vinny Jr. Vinny Jr. is talking back to Real Madrid. He's definitely not going to stay at Real Madrid. Oh, they're talking to him about his image rights. Oh, hang on a minute. Vinny Jr. is having detailed talks with Real Madrid. Vinny Jr. is going to Arsenal. No, he's not. Oh, hang on. He's used Arsenal as a leverage tool with his agent to get a better contract at Real Madrid. Funnily enough, who saw that coming? Everyone except Arsenal fans, surely. He was never signing for Arsenal, was he?
I'm not being funny. I wouldn't touch the man with the barge, Paul. He's just trouble. He's trouble. As we've said this before, we both recognise and say what a supreme talent he is, and he is. He's a lovely footballer, but the man's ego and his constant attitude, it's just disgusting. I mean,
was he ever signing for Arsenal?
Do you know what? He'd get absolutely battered in the Premier League. People say, players who of that skill wouldn't get battered. Yes, he would.
Yes,
He'd
they
get
would.
nailed every single week. He'd
Yeah,
be terrible. He'd hate it. He'd hate the how the Premier League is. He wouldn't get any time on the ball. But his contract at Madrid is astonishing anyway. And then they kind of have given him a take it or they gave him a take it or leave it. And then surprisingly, they upped it one more time and said this is his final offer. But I think it's something I don't even know what it is, but it's eye wateringly disgusting. And it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
honestly, you're Real Madrid, just let him go. Get
yeah.
someone else. I mean, it's not like you're beating him. You know, you'd have all any player you want. You'd probably be able to pick and then buy.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
What's made me laugh is Arsenal fans all this week leading up to it. We're going to get Vinny Junior, and I've said all along he's
you're
never
never
coming in.
gonna get him.
He's
No
never
way.
coming anywhere near. He's using it. He's using it. Oh no, no, and they were phoning into Talk Sport. They were on all sorts of social media. Vinny Junior is the missing link. We're gonna dominate European football for the next 5 years. We're getting Vinny Junior. I'm going. He's not coming anywhere near Arsenal. Why would
They
he go
can't
to
afford
Arsenal?
him. They wouldn't be able to pay that. They wouldn't be able to pay his wage and all of that and all the shit that goes with it. No
Nah,
way. No
absolutely
way
not.
was he coming to Arsenal, and no way did he have any intention of coming to Arsenal.
No,
So,
absolutely not. Made me
uh,
laugh. Bit more on transfers. Henderson and Welbeck have gone to Chelsea, so it's a change in their profile in terms of they're
yeah,
going for older, more mature players. The business model obviously isn't working. But my question is, and we mention this a lot, how are they allowed to spend money? Newcastle can't spend money, Villa can't spend money, Everton within reason can't spend money, and they've gone out and got Henderson and Welbeck and continue to add to it. And Mudrik's back as well after his drug in
yeah.
fuel bloody ban as well, isn't he?
It's Chelsea, mate. I mean, there was more charges again in the last couple of weeks, wasn't there?
Yeah, yeah,
And they've just quietly brushed that under the carpet. And the Premier League even actively supported no sporting sanctions, saying there was no sporting advantage from any of it, even though it's been absolutely proven that Abramovich was doing considerable wrongs in terms of what he was bunging agents to get Aiden. So
yeah.
they signed Aiden Hazard, and it was the whole thing was completely crooked. But there's no sporting advantage given what Aiden Hazard won for
Did
Chelsea. But
yeah.
there's no sporting advantage there, is there?
No,
And
my
yet,
my my bit with the whole thing is the fact that the new owners, Todd Bowley, get credit from the Premier
oh,
League
for owning up
because
to
they
it,
owned up to it.
owned up to it. It was. I don't know if anyone's seen it. I'm not sure you would because it depends if you're an Everton fan and you follow Everton. But Everton's fan advisory board produced this beautiful statement this week, which they forwarded to the Premier League. Who, and I just want to highlight here as well that when Everton were going through all their issues of the PSR stuff, and we were looking at getting points deductions, and I didn't do this, but loads of fans did, holding up the Premier League is corrupt cards and banners, and everyone was saying, "Oh, it's ridiculous, far fetched." This stuff with Chelsea
Yeah,
absolutely proves that there is an absolute agenda in
yeah,
football. It is.
mm,
It might not. It might be corrupt. Can't evidence that it is in the Premier League, but it's absolutely bent in terms of favouring the top six clubs. It
yeah,
always has been. This Chelsea's wrongdoings are indefensible, and yet they managed to get away with it with a slap on the wrist. And the money, the fines they got, they'd already paid. So they
yeah,
walk away with no sporting advantage, no sporting sanctions, no points deductions, no fines, effectively.
yeah,
And the fan advisory board ever did this wonderful statement this week, and it actually then produced this graph showing all the stuff that Chelsea had done, what Everton had done, which is they're in a different stratosphere.
yeah.
And
Minuscule.
then it showed you the outcome of what they said. So basically, this three-man panel had said that Everton's wrongdoings were severe, but apparently Chelsea's nothing to see here. And yet,
Yeah,
you also soak this up. We've also, by the same three-man panel that wanted to give us a 10-point deduction that was then reduced to 6 originally, this same panel who clearly had an agenda and yet were used again for other things. We've also had to pay with interest 40 million quid to Burnley because Burnley think that because of our 19
wrongdoing.
million 90 million overspend in the season when there was COVID and we lost all our sponsors and we were building a new stadium.
Yeah,
19 million, by the way. Where is the sporting advantage there? And we
yeah,
admitted to it and said it was a wrongdoing, but there was no advantage gain. Look at the players we had. I mean, for God's
Yeah.
sake, we're exactly punching, were we? And so yeah, just let that sink in as well. We've had to pay nearly 40 million quid to Burnley because they say they'd have stayed up if well, you didn't. You went down fair and square.
Yeah. And by the
That
way,
19 million had nothing.
You always go down anyway, don't
That
you? So
19
yeah.
million had no impact on your season
No,
whatsoever.
none.
And yet Chelsea walk away with there's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
And the Premier League should be deeply ashamed of that because that is an absolute wrongdoing. I mean, how can you say, oh well, you know what? Oh, it's all right, Chelsea. It was ages ago, wasn't it? And you've admitted to it, so well done, you. Well
Yeah.
done. Bollocks.
Yeah.
Absolute
Absolute bollocks.
bollocks. You
Which is
throw the
what's going to
book at
happen.
them.
Which is what's going to happen with bloody City's 115, and they're going to say, "Oh, there's been a statute of limitations, time limits run out on it. We would have done it, but it was 15 years ago now, wasn't it? So let's not bother."
Yeah.
Just on transfers, I listened to something this morning. I was intrigued by this. Right? Do you know who Tommy Watson is? The Brighton player. Do you know who Tommy Watson is?
I do, yeah.
So he was the guy who was at Sunderland. He
Yeah.
scored his last kick of the game at Wembley to beat Sheffield United in the playoff
Yeah.
final. He'd already signed for Brighton at that point. He'd only had 11 first-team appearances for Sunderland.
Yeah.
He signed for Brighton, didn't play for Brighton at all in the first half of last season, went on loan to Millwall in the second half of last season, made zero impact because he had a settled side. He only played
Yeah.
twice. He's now gone on loan to Leicester for the season in League One. I've just got a question here. Who is this kid and is he any good? Because he's been moved around and touted around. 11 games at Sunderland mean that Brighton thought this is the guy for us. Sunderland got promoted and probably would have kept him if if they'd have known
Yeah.
they would definitely get promoted. So he's been at Sunderland 11 games. Brighton hardly played. Millwall, didn't get a looking on loan second half last season. Now he's on loan at Leicester, and everyone's saying he's a cheat code for League One. I want to know if he's any good. This kid, no one's ever seen him play. How do you get a career like that so young? And people still talk about you like you're some kind of second coming of the Messiah. Because
Well, I
I'd,
mean,
I'd like to
well,
see him play football more than two games in a row
I
and see
would.
if he's any good.
I don't know much about the kid. I'll be honest. I mean, I didn't. I don't think many would have done. But Brighton are renowned for doing their homework and their data analysis and their recruitment. So
Yeah,
you'd like to think they saw something that thought we'd like to bring this kid in
yeah.
because they don't strike me as the kind of club that just go out and buy a player because
No, no, I
you know.
agree with you.
So
Yeah,
and so they must have seen something in those games. But you do look at it and think, well, they've obviously seen more than the 11 games he's played to merit him worth signing. But then it is sometimes a concern where you see players that actually show promise and then for whatever reason they go somewhere else, they don't play, and I'd love to know what happens. Whether it's to do with the guys, the player's mentality, the person's mentality, whether it's they drop the ball a bit and they don't show the same hunger in training, whether they lose confidence. I've seen players play for Everton that came through the ranks, young players or were brought in and showed real promise, and then they went out on loan or were moved on. You never hear from them again. And
yeah.
you think, I wonder what happens there. I wonder whether it's the coaching, whether it's the,
Is one of them more Besic?
it's,
He's still on your books, isn't he,
I think he's still only through his about halfway through his 15-year contract with his glass leg.
For those who don't know, Mo Besic was and probably still is. He was on Everton's books for 3 seasons, and he spent a year on loan at Middlesbrough. And when he
Yeah,
was fit, he was class, absolute class footballer, right? But he was always injured. He was made of glass. And during that made of glass period, somebody at Everton gave him a 3-year contract extension. So he had a 6-year contract at Everton. He only played about 4 games, didn't he, for you?
yeah. We signed him in after the 2014 World Cup, and he did show real promise. And there was times where you just thought, if this kid can stay consistently fit and actually hold his place down,
Yeah, yeah.
he could be a talent. But he never got that chance to really like flourish, and he was always injured,
Yeah.
always. And I think, strangely, I think the best I ever saw him play was that season he was on loan at Middlesbrough, and then when he
Yeah,
went back
yeah.
to Middlesbrough, it just wasn't good the second time round, and then he slowly just drifted away.
Yeah.
Having
Yeah.
collected his decent contract of money, and is probably, king of Hungary now, I think, something like that. So yeah.
Exactly. I've got a couple of things I want to finish with because we've got a lot more, another episode a couple of weeks down the line. I've got a list of a mile long. I've put here the league football season started north of the border at the weekend and the SPL title race is over already. So nice to know. That's done. Celtic won, Rangers drew, Hearts lost. No one cares anymore. Season's
Yeah,
finished.
I'd agree with that. It's just the same old in Scottish football because you forget that most of the players who play for most of the other clubs usually come from Glasgow and are desperate to play for Celtic or Rangers.
Yeah.
So Hearts finally had a team and a manager that were putting something magical together, and then they all just fucked off to Rangers at the end of the season. It's just like Jesus, you couldn't make it up, could you?
No.
Hearts bringing a manager that is probably bound to fail in the first 6 months. I just
Yeah.
don't think he's gonna. That's a really odd recruitment. That very
Mm,
strange.
very
They
odd.
look at odds. They've lost key players. Yeah, I think Celtic will just sail away with it like they always do. So
Do you think?
I
Do you
don't
think?
think.
Think the title race is over after one
Yeah,
weekend?
yeah. I don't think Rangers. I don't. I honestly don't see Rangers laying a glove on them. I just don't.
No.
I don't. They haven't done anything for me in terms of manager and players that's made a sparkling improvement.
No. And what I
And,
would say,
and
by the way, is for a fleeting moment in time, people south of the border half gave a little bit of a shit about Scottish football for a fleeting moment in
yeah,
time last season.
yeah,
That spark has gone. No one cares anymore. Celtic Rangers, Celtic will win it. We don't care. No one, bothered. Let's move on. But
yeah,
yeah, all over after one weekend.
yeah. I would say so. I mean, and I'll just caveat that by saying I'd love to be proved wrong, everyone, but I just don't see it. I really
Yeah,
don't see it.
I would love to be as well. Now, I want to finish with something, which is an absolute celebration, right? Me and you, big fans of German football, big fans of German football
Mm,
fans, big fans of just the football experience on our weekends over in Dortmund that we go to every season. And you must have seen it by now. Hansa Rostock.
yeah,
Now, most people will have seen this. It's all over social media. Hansa Rostock, who are a German Bundesliga second division team,
yeah,
brought 6,500 coordinated fans. They all had the same colours on,
yeah.
white and black. And they bounced into Watford for a pre-season friendly, and I mean literally bounce. First of all, mad numbers to come from Germany for pre-season friendly. I mean, have they ever been to Watford? The one thing I'll say about Watford, by the way, is you can certainly get a chicken dish. On the way out of Watford, I've never been on a street where you can get so many versions of a chicken takeaway. So, Hansa Rostock fans, if you weren't vegetarians, you'll have had a really good chicken dish at some point in Watford. Bonkers numbers, amazing coordinated sort of support, brilliant atmosphere. And I've put here, thanks for the share and the heads up, Andy Newbold and Mark Bates. Mark's an actual Watford fan, and Andy's a fan of the podcast, obviously. And they both shared the videos of the Hansa Rostock fans behind the goal, shifting left to right. 6,500 of them in a
It was, yeah.
coordinated joy. And you look at it and go, that is what football's about. That is a
Oh,
football experience to die for. They outnumbered the Watford fans, didn't they, in the stadium for a
oh yeah.
pre-season friendly.
It was
Brilliant.
incredible. I watched numerous different takes of it that people have recorded, and it's just everything we love about German football. I mean, they're just beautifully nuts, aren't they? They're just the
Yeah,
way they follow their teams, and and I'd say for the most part, they follow them in good grace. They don't go out to cause any trouble or any issue. They just want to come across,
no,
have a good time, drink some beer, and create a lot of noise. I mean, they'd have loved to have brought their pyrotechnics and
yeah,
make it lively. I saw that as a wonderful clip in the week as well. It was someone who put it on. I can't remember what social network it was on, but it was basically a German stadium with literally every stand just lit with
on fire,
pyros, like
on
we've seen.
fire.
And
Yeah,
it said British football, you can't take your bottle tops into the stadium.
yeah,
German football, the stadium's practically alive on fire from the amount of
yeah,
pyros that people take in, and it just showed the difference. And we've
yeah,
had that, with people making a big issue of you can't take your bottle top in God's sake. And then, but
Yeah.
in Germany, they literally see them taking crates of bloody pyros in.
And by the way, I can't take my bottle top in. I'm not going to throw it. I've just paid £4.50 for a Coke. Why am I going to throw that
Why am I
away?
going to
Four
throw it
pound
at a
fifty to
player?
go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Gee,
So yeah, ridiculous. So Hansa Rostock, hats off to you. German football,
absolutely.
hats off to you. If you're not seen it, just look on social media. Hansa Rostock fans at Watford pre-season, and you'll just smile. You will just smile.
Yeah.
Honestly, brilliant to see. Got one more thing to add because we've got a little bit of time to do on that basis. Okay. Let's go with oh, this is a lovely story. Kyushoi Miura, Japan, the world's oldest professional footballer. I
Oh,
can't
I've
pronounce his
seen
name.
this. Yeah.
He's still playing for the Japanese third tier, Fukushima United, right?
Yeah.
He scored his first goal in nearly 4 years. It was the fifth goal in a 7-0 win, so he's playing for a decent side, or they were playing someone shit. Now, he's something to get you thinking, right? So this Miura guy, he was the face of the J League when it launched in 1993,
Yeah.
but he actually started his career in Santos in Brazil in 1986. He's played in Italy, Croatia, and Australia. Since 1986, he's 59 and he's just scoring goals, the odd goal, first one in 4 years. But the guy's apparently like a legend in Japan, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's
Just, I
wonderful,
mean,
really.
yeah,
I read all about that, and it just kind of filled me with joy. I know that sounds a bit twee, but it did. I was thinking, why not? There's this kind of stereotype that when you kind of almost past it, if you like, you have to retire. I'm thinking, why do you?
yeah,
There's someone we've mentioned players in the past who are still doing it in different leagues down the pyramid who just love playing at the age of 40 odd. And I can't remember who the
yeah.
names were, but there's players who are just still playing because of the love of the game and wanting to just pull a shirt on and go and play for a team and bag a
Yeah.
few goals. Why shouldn't he keep playing? If he's good enough to play in the third team in Japan, why not? I
The
think it's
bit
amazing.
the bit that
And
got me was he started his career in Santos in Brazil.
Santos,
I'd
yeah.
love to know how that came about. How did a Japanese guy happen to start playing professionally in Santos? Obviously, he was young and he was decent, um,
But
but he was the fit.
that wasn't very common back in 1986
God,
for
no,
Japanese
not
players who were playing in for Santos.
no.
And yeah, face of the J League, playing for Japan for the first time in a World Cup. Oh, he's loads of firsts for his
Yeah,
country.
unbelievable.
He's probably done all right for himself for being quite a famous name in Japan. But no, he hasn't rested on his laurels. He thought, I was just going to keep banging the goals in every week. Brilliant.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen,
Hope for us
that's
all, mate. There's hope for us all.
I think my hope and expectation went a while ago. My legs and my knees and my ankles, mate. But other than that, so that was episode 61, domestic football back. A bit of a catch up on all sorts of stuff, as you can imagine. We've got another one coming up in a couple of weeks' time, just so that we've got everything out the way before we pick specific subjects. That's been in association with our supporter well-being, wellness, and mental health partners, Huddle Up. And we keep saying if you're involved in a club, connected to a supporters group, whatever, please look up the details on the guys from Huddle Up because they are exceptionally good at helping fans when they most need it and when they're at the most vulnerable, when they need some support around them. So contact details are on the screen, but they're also in the show notes. Um, Episode 62 coming up next week. We've called it the roller coaster of being a proper football fan. We've got a very special guest on. I put no spoilers at this stage, but our guest is a fan of a certain club and a podcaster at that certain club. And that certain club has been through a very interesting 3-season roller coaster and a very interesting summer. So we'll see what that looks like on episode 62. Dom, pleasure as ever. We'll see you for our interview with our special guest on episode 62 shortly. And yeah, we'll catch up with you from there.
Yeah, love this one and really looking forward to next week. Stay tuned, everyone. This is going to be a really good episode, really good guest coming on. And it's a really interesting subject as well. So we're looking forward to our episode next week, chatting to this guest. And we hope you enjoy it when it's released. Yeah, see you next time, mate. Love
All
this
right,
one.
mate.
See you, mate.
Cheers.